about attaching, for example, TORs in the shopping cart, in the unfunded shopping cart. Let me share my screen. And yes, the answer, of course, is yes. You can and you should, of course, attach all the important documents there. I don't know if you can see my screen. I guess so.
Yes, we can see it.
Thank you, Saida. So let's go, just for you to know, for those of you who don't know how to do that, this is a shopping cart. It's a copy of the one that we created this morning. So at line item level, you have one tab called Notes and Attachments. And in the exercise, you will see that you have to insert per product a supplier text and an internal note. For example, as this shopping cart is going to be used to create a contract, maybe you want to add more specifications about the product ID, or for example, if some product needs a training to be used, you could add it as an internal note. Just clicking here on supplier test, you can write here whatever you want. For example, internal training needed. Or a special something for you can put everything here, you see, and you can add as well internal notes. And here the bottom you have the attachments section, and you can just right clicking on add attachment. You can browse your files and upload whatever is needed at shopping cart level as well. Okay, so just to I didn't show it. It is included in the exercise, but I wanted all of you to see it. Okay, so let's go back to where we were this morning. Remember, we created the unfunded shopping cart with the 2 services and 3 materials that we wanted to include in our contract. So the shopping cart was approved, and the buyer created from this shopping cart the Rfx document. The bidders send their responses, and before the submission deadline, the buyer or the bid administrator inserted the bid responses in the Rfx document. So now it's time for the buyer to compare their responses and award. So let me log off, because now I'm a requisitioner. I was creating this shopping cart to show you the attachments. We are going to log in as buyer again and compare the bidder's responses. Now I am a buyer. Let me check what I did wrong. Yeah, now I am. So here we are. So first thing we have to do is to find out our Rfx document. Remember that to find Rfx documents, you have to go through strategic sourcing. And here you have all the documents, all saved, awaiting approval. If you cannot find easily yours, as I mentioned this morning, it's quicker to type the number here and apply it. But in this case, I have it here. It's this one, the one we created this morning. And where we were, the bidders are inserted there as well. And as the opening date has already passed, it's due, in the responses and awards, we should have a new tab. You see, here it is. Before we only had the response activity, but now we have the response comparison tab. So we are going to click on this response comparison tab and on compare all responses. We have here the response numbers, everything is properly populated. So let's go to compare all responses. As I mentioned this morning, here you have the detail of the products IDs and services IDs. Here in this screen, the responses of each bidder appear in vertical. So you see here you have A2 set services. This is our first bidder. Here we have the responses with the prices here. Then we have Abela Afredes. So it's easy, not that easy in this case because we have a lot of them, but just at first sight you can check the best response, and it is not always, and this you will know it better than me, always based on the lowest price, because there are more things to take into consideration. But here you can easily compare the responses. And you have for each bidder, you have an accept tick next to each or for each line item. And here you have an accept all and a reject all. So for these training purposes, we are going to select AM Dabus as the best bidder. And we are going to accept all. You can click one by one. Yes, first edit, very important. First edit the responses, and now the system will allow you to select. You can accept one by one or accept all with one click, okay? And for the rest of the bidders, we are going to select reject all, and reject all. I think I didn't miss any of them. So once we have selected our best responses, what we are going to do is award these responses. Let me click on award. And the system is going to give you some information. This response has been accepted and these 3 responses have been rejected. Okay, so let's close this window, the comparison window. Yes, and if we go back again to responses and awards, this, let's refresh just in case, but this status of the responses has already changed. So we have 3 of the responses have been rejected, and only 1 of these responses has been accepted, the one from AM Dabos. Before continuing creating the contract, I wanted to show you something already in the Rfx document that I forgot this morning. Let me close this response and awards. This is our Rfx document, and now it's complete. The bidders added all the responses, and 1 of the bidders have been awarded. When you are going, the buyer, so it's going to publish the Rfx, there is in the approval tab 1 tick that says work item to requested at process end. I think it can be very helpful for you because usually the buyer is only notified when the Rfx document is rejected. But when it is approved, it would be good for the buyer to know that he can start entering the biddings or the responses in the system. So if this tick is selected, the buyer will be notified as well when the Rfx document has been approved. So he can take over and continue inserting the responses in the system. Just a parenthesis, because I forgot to mention this. I mentioned it in the presentation, but I forgot to show it here. So here we are. Let's go again to responses and awards. And there is one thing missing. We still don't have a contract. We have a solicitation process that has taken place, and 1 of the bidders have been awarded, but we didn't create our contract yet. So this is what we are going to do now. How to create a contract from the Rfx document? We will click on the response number, the one that has been accepted. And here we are. And the response is open. If you go to items, you will see the prices that were introduced for this particular bidder. This is the response for this particular bidder. So what we are going to do is create a contract for or based on this Rfx, the response of this Rfx document. So create on contract, and we have to select which kind of contract are we going to create. It's a CMJC, contract for goods and services. And click on create contract.
Sol?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Sorry, just before you go on, I wasn't sure when Saida was going to jump in. I just heard her voice now. Okay. It was just before you keep going. I think you were cut off, not for me, but it seems like for maybe one or some of the students you were cut off at some point. And they were asking you to repeat the last few steps. So, Shokida, if you can be a little more specific on what steps you missed or which ones you'd like her to repeat.
Please.
Thank you very much. She told about that if it is selected, then the vendor will be notified about rejection. Am I correct?
No. Sorry, maybe I didn't explain myself properly. Usually, the buyer is notified when the Rfx document is rejected by the approver. It's always notified when there is a rejection. But if you tick that, let me show it again. No, I don't want to change screen. Let me find the screen if I can without. Let me show another one. For example, oh, sorry. This SRM and crazy Windows. This one, let me show this one. This is another Rfx. It's just for you to see the tick. So if the buyer ticks this work item to requester at process end, he or she will be notified when it will be approved, not when it's rejected. But moreover, if it is approved, will be communicated as well, so he or she can start working and inserting the responses in the system. You don't have to wait or check. Maybe it's approved yet or not. I don't know if it is approved. It will be communicated of approval when it's approval. So I hope it's clear.
Maybe,
yes, thank you.
Maybe so we can take other questions from about the acceptance and rejection from George. He's asking, what do we do if a vendor did not respond to the Rfx and did not pass the technical review? Do we skip them? Give them response and awards? And then the second question is, after the response is submitted, do the accept function reflect the offer that is selected overall after technical and commercial evaluation is conducted?
The first part, I don't know if I understood properly. The first part, if a bidder doesn't submit, it will not be considered in the bidding process, so it is okay. And the second part, I think, is either that I didn't get it properly.
Okay, sorry.
Let me maybe read it.
Oh,
or you can.
I can repeat. After the response is submitted, do the accept function reflects the offer that is selected qualifies overall after the technical and commercial evaluation is conducted?
Yeah, okay. I think now I got it. You mean that if one response is accepted, this is the contract is going to be created based on this. I think this is what you mean.
Yes, hello, this is Yorgos. If I may just, I think it's faster if I explain it.
Thank you, George.
Basically, I have two questions. The first part under the responses and awards is that we submit each offer response that we have received from the vendors. There are cases that out of the 4 that we have invited, 1 may have not got back to us, or they just got back to us and technically they did not qualify. We understand that we just keep them. We do not submit anything for them.
Yeah, they can be there, but nothing will be accepted for them, of course, if they didn't pass this.
So once they do not qualify the technical, we don't follow the process of selecting them and submit them. I mean, we don't do all this.
I don't think it's needed. Maybe somebody can. I don't know exactly how other people do this in the mission. if somebody wants to jump in, but I think if they didn't pass the technical qualification, they should not be considered, let's say.
No, it's just to verify, because I mean it's a good opportunity to see if the practice followed so far is correct or if there is some different way forward, because that's also my understanding that we just keep those offers. And the second one is again to verify that when we signal accept means the offer that we will be going ahead with for a contract. So accept is just the offer that we will be, that has technically and qualified and commercially is the way to go, let's say. So basically the selected offer. So accept will be that one, correct?
Yeah, this is, as far as I understand, I exactly understand you as
it was just to reconfirm. Yes, thank you.
You're welcome, George. And yes. So I think everything is clear. In fact, when the contract is created, you will see the prices and everything are based on the accepted, let's say, response. So let's any more questions, Aida?
No other questions so far.
Okay, so thanks a lot, Zaira. And we are going to continue. So let me find out the open. We had just created here we are. We had just created the contract from their response. You see here, these are the prices that our awarded bidder provided. So the contract will be created based on this information. So we have here a contract number. Let me write it down. We have already the contract, but we haven't finished yet. We have some few more steps to take into the system. So how to find, or if you want, just in the tracking tab of the Rfx, sorry, maybe it's not here yet because it's not, yes, let me close it because I just created the contract from there. Yeah, and this one I'm going to close it as well. This is the window with hours, responses, and awards. Close it. So let me open again the Rfx from which we have just created our contract. If we go to the tracking tab, now here it is. Now it's refreshed. We should find here all the documents that have been involved in the creation of this Rfx, the previous and the upcoming documents. For example, we have our shopping cart, the Rfx number that we created, the 4 responses that we have inserted in the system, the accepted one and the rejected ones, and at the very end we have the contract, the link to the contract. So now we have to add some more information in the contract. We can click here, or I'm going to teach you how to find it in the contract management tab. Okay, here we are. We are still the buyer and we have to finish creating this contract. So we can go to contract management tab. If you remember again from the presentation, when we mentioned there are several ways of creating a contract. One is directly from an unfunded shopping cart, from create draft contract that we were discussing already, that it is done when there is no bidding process involved or solicitation process involved. Another way was as we are doing it through an Rfx document, and another one, the one less recommended, is to create a contract from this contract management tab. You see, here you can create document contract, but creating a contract from here, you have to populate in all the information, and it's really not recommended at all. So what we are going to do from this contract management section of the portal is to look for our contract. That is the 72. Let me find it.
So a question about the creation of contracts. Vesna is asking if we can create 2 or more contracts from the same Rfx.
Very good question. And in fact, Yeah, this is a very good. In fact, the system allows you. In fact, I think, let me find out. I have an example to show you, but I am not sure that from the business perspective is done this way. The system allows you to create more than one contract from the same Rfx when, for example, you have selected not all the line items from the same bidder, but from different bidders. Let me show you that, because I was wondering exactly the same, and the system allowed to do it. Let me show you. Sorry guys, but I think this is very interesting, and maybe somebody can confirm. Let me show you this Rfx that I created. I was just testing and playing with the system. So responses and awards, you see, this is what I was trying. So I selected different lines, not all the lines from the same bidder. I selected, I don't know, let me see the responses. From this one, I selected some of them here in items. And from the other one, I selected some of them. So what happened? The system accepted 2 bidders partially, let's say. So the system for sure will allow you to create. If you click here, you can create a contract for this bidder, for Ahmad, with the line items that have been selected for him or for this vendor or supplier. And you can create another one from this response with the line items that have been selected for this supplier. I don't know, to be honest, if it is usually done from the business perspective, but the system allows you to do that. For sure, it allows you. Maybe anybody wants to jump in. Did you ever do this kind of things, creating more than one contract?
Jawad is answering in the chat, saying that he thinks that the system allows the creation of more than one contract, as we create more than one PO for the same Rfx. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
And then Celestine says that the buyer needs to know. Let me read that comment. That's another question. So Isaac confirms as well, you can create a contract based on the different lines in the Rfx.
Perfect.
And Celestine said the buyer administrator inserted wrong prices for one bidder, so the price comparison was somehow inserted. That leads to the wrong decision to select the bidder. Can we step back? Okay, sorry, that was a question from Celestina.
Yeah.
Can we imagine we did a wrong choice, or can we go backward and re-edit the selection? If I understood well her question.
So how to amend, let's say.
Exact.
Can we
mainly focused on prices, right? If the mistake was made on the price.
So I think in the contract itself, this can be amended. If you selected a wrong bid, I think before the contract is let's say approved, this contract is not valid. Is drafted or is, so you could go back and select a new one, the correct bidder or the new response. And if it is prices, I think they can be amended from the contract. So I don't know if I answered, Celestina, your question.
Hello.
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah, so my point is, say the buyer administrator inserted the wrong price. Instead of 3,000, she inserted 300, so it looks like she's the cheapest, so we selected that bidder. Then later on, after you click this accept and reject for all these buyers, and we selected one bidder, we realized we made a mistake in the price. So can we step back and correct these prices and select another bidder, or not? This is before the contract was
It's
approved.
great. Okay, before, okay. I guess so. I am not sure. We could try, but now it's already accepted. Anyway, let me write it down. I think so, but I will test it offline, and I will come back to you with an answer. And if anybody knows, I think so, you can go and edit this wording. But I would have to test it. If you let me, if you enter in wrong price.
Jawad is confirming that yes, in the Rfx response,
Okay.
can be edited, deleted. If you enter the wrong price at the response award, you can go back to unaccept the response and correct the prices.
Okay.
So thanks, guys, for sharing this with us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think especially the key point here, based on what I'm reading between the lines, is that anything can be amended before it's approved, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once we have approved and we've created the contract, then going backwards is difficult or impossible, right? But before approval is done, any changes can be made. That's what I'm understanding from the answers.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks to you guys for all your contributions. So definitely it can be, several contracts can be created, but as far as I understand, one contract per bidder. Maybe not all the products will be included, but the products that were, let's say, awarded from this bidder. Okay, so let me close this one and let's go back. Sorry, I was doing it wrong again. Let me close from here. That's it. And let's go back to our contract. I don't know if I am already, no, this is an Rfx, so close it again. Yeah, here we were. So we were looking for our, we were in the contract management tab, and we were looking for our contract, the one we have just created, because we have to complete it. It's not completed yet. Most of the information is in it, but not everything. So let's go. And here is our contract. All the lines that came from the Rfx document with the awarded response. So we are going to edit it. And let me tell you the main information that we should edit from here. We have here, let me show you, the header of the contract and the items, line items. And each line item has its own information, but we are going to start with the information at header level of the contract. We are going to go here to header, and there are some important fields. For example, the contract name should be changed for you to be more, I don't know, contract for whatever. This is up to you. This is the name of the contract. What else? Let me go in right order. The financial rules. Where are they? No, let's go in order better. Okay. So let's name the contract first. Then let's go to the distribute contract to catalog. This is very important. If you don't select yes here, this catalog will not be visible in the contract catalog. So it's very, very important to select here yes. Financial rules for this exercise, for this purpose, we are going to select. Let me show you how to do. Click on the white squares here again. And the one that we selected is this 1055, lowest cost bid. Maybe it's not exactly what happened in the solicitation process, but we are going to add this one. Okay. One very important field as well. Always you have to review, especially the ones with the asterisk. They are compulsory. If you don't populate the fields with the asterisk, the system will not allow you to save the document that you are. It doesn't matter if it is a shopping cart, a purchase order, an Rfx, or a contract. In the SRM portal, you have to, all the fields with asterisk should be populated. Reference contract number. We are going to put here, let's say UN whatever, 01-2020. Okay. Valid from and valid to is very interesting as well. The dates, this should, let's say, from today up to the end of next year. 21. Okay, so that's here. Let's go here. The currency, okay. The target value, this is the not to exceed value. For this purpose, we are going to put this value, 9900, sorry, this one, the exercise. Okay, alert release value, let's keep it 75%. Release value, this is this field I wanted to tell you about. This release value is the accumulated value of all the POs that are raised against this contract. So this is not editable, but it will be automatically updated every time that a PO is raised against this contract and is approved. Okay, so cannot be touched, but is there. And the alert release value, this 75%, means that the buyer will be alerted when there are created shopping carts and the 75% of the NTE value of the target value is reached. Okay, so the buyer will be alerted. What else? Delivery time, I think 30 days for this purpose. Incoterm key, Incoterm location, important field. As Brian was mentioning yesterday, this field is key. Remember that this is when you create a purchase order, this the Incoterm is derived from the contract, but we are not going to put the Incoterm here because different line items can have different Incoterms and Incoterm locations. So the Incoterm key and Incoterm location will be populated now. We will do it, but at line item level. Okay. Alert release value. So I think payment terms, I think is already populated. I'm not missing anything. I don't want to happen like before.
Sorry.
Yes?
Before you go ahead, Celestina is asking, where did you get the target value of? Yeah.
In this case, I was just inventing it, but I don't know if there is a rule or a kind of what do you do, guys, to calculate this target value in real life.
Okay. I don't know if target value is contract amount.
Yeah, and as far as I am concerned, this is committed by the vendor because sometimes there can be changes afterwards. So this value should not be exceeded at any, even if there are changes, some VATs or some taxes, whatever. I think it's related with this, but I could not tell you exactly how to calculate it.
Okay, so Jawad is saying that target value is decided by the requisitioner and it's an estimation. And then Nipopon says that the target value is contract amount. So target value is an estimation of the expenditure of the contract. Thank you very much, guys.
Oh, yes. Thanks a lot, Saida. And thanks all for sharing once again, because you are the ones that are dealing with this daily. So thanks a lot. Okay, so I think from this header side or part of the contract, we have already populated all the important fields. Let me double check that I didn't miss any. Okay, so let's go to the location. This is very important as well. Location. There is in the header of the contract, there is a location here. You see, and this location, you can add more locations. You see, you can add a different location. So there is a location here, but if you go at line item level, we have, let me select, for example, the first one and go to the details. Let me close this. You have here a location as well, okay? This location is defaulted based on the location of the self-account unit of the requisitioner. For example, if we would have created this contract or the initial shopping cart for Unifill, the default location would be Unifill. In this case, we selected UN headquarters, so it's appearing UN headquarters. You see, it's defaulted. But this location can be deleted or more locations can be added. But the key point is, what's the difference between this location at line item level at the location at header level? Just let me explain you a little bit. So the location at header levels, if there is only one location and it's typed at header level, all the location of the line items will be defaulted to this one. But if at line item level we are adding a specific location, this one will override the one that is in the header. Okay? So let me show you this. Some. It's very important for you to understand this part, because then if the contract will be only visible for the locations that are specified in the contract. There was yesterday a question related to this. So if there is no location at all, the contract will be visible to everybody. That's why it's very important to know what you really want to. Just here we are. I don't know if you, let me do it bigger. You see? Visibility of the contract lines according with the locations indicated at header lines level. So you see, if all of them are blank, all contract lines will be visible to all locations, okay? If at header level is blank, but at line items we have several locations, line 1 will be only visible for this location 1, line 2 will be only visible for this location 2, and line 3 will be visible in locations 1 and 2. Okay. More examples. We have several examples, but I think you have this in your exercise, so it will be, you can check it whenever you want. So in this case, the header is blank. Line 1 has one location, line 2 has a different location, and line 3 is blank. So line 1 will be only visible in location 1, line 2 will be only visible in location 2, but line 3 will be visible in all locations, because here we don't have any specified and here we don't have any specified. So this is very easy one. If there is no location specified at line item level, all the line items will be only visible at the location specified at header, in the header. Here is exactly the same, but we have more than one location. So all these line items will be visible in location 1 and location 2. And here is here we have location 1, but at line item we add more information. So line 1 will be visible in location 1 and location 2. Line 2 will be visible only in location 2, even if at header level we specified a different one, because this one is overriding this one. And line 3, as it is blank, but we have a location specified at header level, will be visible in location 1. I think maybe it's a lot of information, but I think it's clear. Do you have any question regarding these locations in the contract?
Not for the moment in the chat, but it's very clear. Thank you very much, Sol. And I think I will share this in the chat as well, this picture.
Yeah, you can share it, feel free, because, but moreover, you will have it in the exercise once you will receive it. So this was one of the points that I wanted to mention, because it's very important that that you know who is going to access or to see your contract. So only for you, it's totally local, or you want to share with some missions around that are dealing with the same supplier. So it's very interesting. That then we have the system contract that we will comment later on. But at this point, I think this is very interesting for you to understand. And the system will check when you create a shopping cart or PO if the location specified matches one of the locations of the contract and will allow you to continue or not. So it's really, really an important point to take into consideration. Okay?
Thank you,
So
Sol. Just one more thing, since I've been seeing people adding to the chat to the explanation before about NTEs, right, not to exceed values. And thank you all for those responses. They make a lot of sense. And actually, they remind me a lot of what we covered on day 2 when we were raising a shopping cart for freight and we were adding the SOW. All we were adding there were estimated charges, right? The value of the goods plus the volume, weight, and dimensions of the goods. So it gives a reference to the requisitioner when, raising the solicitation and going through the bidding process. So in a sense, the estimation makes sense if you're basing it on requirements and budget limitations. Of course, that's how an NTE can be decided by a requisitioner. So it all makes sense to me based on your responses. So just a big thank you for those who responded.
yeah, thanks to everybody, really. Okay, so if this location is clear, we can continue because we still have to see the fields that we have to populate at line item level. Location is one of them, but let's go to the items now. But for this exercise, I don't know, maybe it got freeze. Let me again. Yeah, let's go to the header. Sorry, to the items, line items. No, it's freezing. Let me close. Yeah. Just open it again. Let me check if it works. I'm opening again our contract. Just let me wait for this window to close. And let's try to okay, now that it's closed, hopefully I can edit it again. It's saved. I don't know, there is a problem. Let me log off and log in again, because sometimes, as I mentioned before, as we have many windows open, one in front of the other, sometimes the system gets crazy. And especially in the training environment, you see, it's hanging. This happened already to me. And I don't know, let me quit, disconnect. Let me open it. Sorry guys for this. The training environment, sometimes. Let's go again.
Don't worry, Sol. Take your time to log back in. Let's take a look at the comments in the chat in the meantime. Daniel is also posting some valuable information, and Isaac is adding more info to that as well. So if we're still discussing about the NTEs, right, the not to exceed values in the chat. So log in, take your time to log in, make sure it works well, and we'll continue with the discussion in the chat in the meantime.
Okay, thank you, Brian. I'm stuck here, my God.
And if you need any of us to maybe log in and do what we did with Daniel yesterday, we can try that too, if it's not working for you.
Probably because it happened to me and I had to call the IT guys, because it was completely hanging. So I cannot even kill the session. So let me try again, Brian. And if not, I will ask you to, if you don't mind, to share your screen.
Yeah, sure thing.
Let's do it again. You see something is happening. Let me options, quit, disconnect. Okay, let's try again. Hopefully, cross fingers. We are almost there. We just have to finish. Ah, good. We are back. Thanks. Good. Good. It's okay. I don't know why. Sometimes the sessions hangs, and let me change the name of the user just in case. I'm going to use a different one, a different buyer. And let me see if I can continue editing this contract that we were using before. When you will enter for the first time, this will happen to you as well. When you enter to the contract management or strategic sourcing with a user that that has not been used, that will be the case of you when you will go to practice your exercises. This will take long. You see here, there is a refresh running. It's 5%. Now it will go quicker. So don't desperate and don't think that it will take a little bit, but finally it will load all the information. You will be able to see here your documents, but you have the first time you used one user, it will happen to you as well. So it's good that you see that is happening. And in the meantime, just let me check what is missing, just for you to, before we will go into the system and we will go quicker. It's important as well. Well, this is what I will tell you now. The swapping of quantity and prices for the lines of services. We had some latest news from UNHQ. You know that before for services, we used to swap quantity and price when we were talking about services. The recommendation now is that the swap should only be done when the amounts to be received are unknown, or also when you have an amount that could be used in total, but you don't know or you are not sure about the actual amounts. Okay? For example, if you have a training course that is $2,000, and there is no need to swap, because if you know that it's going to be $2,000 and it's going to be delivered in once, you don't need to swap. But if it's a training that's when the number of candidates is not known or the quantities are not precise, then it's possible to swap, and you should swap this quantity and price at contract level as well. And what else? The recommendation is to break down the service. For example, to have one line very detailed for each service that is going to be provided. For example, if you are going to have something repaired, you can split it in painting, carpeting, So as it is more, the granularity is bigger, it is easier to know which will be the final amount. And then it's possible as well to cap the NT values per line of the contract. Okay, so these are the recommendations that we received.
Mm-hmm. And Sol, just to add to what you were saying, Maria is also saying that also when it is a service with monthly payments.
Very good, yeah, because it has to be, let's say, created at monthly basis, and the invoice will be invoiced monthly as well. So if you select only one quantity, you will not be able to do it anymore, so it's another good example of swapping quantities and prices. Okay, so this is something that I wanted to mention as well. And something else, troubleshooting. Things that you have to take into consideration when you are creating a contract. The distribute contract to catalog flag, because sometimes, I cannot find my contract when I'm going to create my shopping cart. Why is this happening? Very important, the distribute to the contract to catalog flag that we have seen. The status at line item that should be active. We are going to see it right now when we will be able to continue. And very important as well, the validity range of the contract. because maybe, as you have seen, the contract has a validity date. And if we are going to continue doing business with a supplier or a vendor, maybe this contract should be renewed or the dates should be changed. And you realize that everything is going smooth, but suddenly, oh, why it's not appearing? Maybe it's the expiration date or the validity range of this contract, okay? And very important as well, if you cannot find a contract, maybe it's because your location is not included in this local contract, not system-wide in the local contract, okay? So these are some of the reasons why you could not find the line items you are expected or the contracts that you are expected in the contract catalog. It's a kind of troubleshooting. So let's see, 61%. And there is only the fields. We are only missing the fields that we have to amend at a line item level. So let's see if we can continue. Anything else in the chat or any comment?
No, not for the moment.
Perfect. So let's go and finish the process. And this is very important. It's missing yet the addition of the Incoterms for the products, not for the services, for the products. And as I mentioned before, and connecting what Brian mentioned yesterday, is very important to select the right Incoterms at this level, the creation of the contract. Okay. And I think I'm not missing any more, just some attachments and internal notes that we will add at contract level if needed as well. I will show you how to do this. Wow, it's taking a lot. Snapping the system. Let's see. So I think, let me resume from this PowerPoint where we are. We are already in this phase, in this step. So just we are only missing to populate some fields, submit the contract, and approve it. Okay. And we will go with Daniel to the hopefully we can do this before 4, before the break, and then Daniel, we will see some very interesting BI reports. '85. And I wanted as well to mention, Javiera shared with me, thanks a lot Javiera, because some very useful link to see system contracts. And I wanted to share it with all of you because this is very, maybe you already know about it, but it's very useful. You can, you have all the system contracts, you can look for them just in case you have to need them. And I think it's really interesting. So thanks a lot, Javiera, for your contribution. And now I will show you as well, as soon as we will finish with this contract. 93, we're almost there. So you will face this same situation during your exercise. Sorry for that. And let me check my contract number, starting with 47. Let's see. Yeah. Remember that to access your Rfx documents, you have to go to a strategic sourcing to look for your contract. You go to the contract management side. Here we are. So, okay, let me look for my contract now. 47, 1, 2, 3, 4, 80, 72. Let's finish the creation of the contract. Here we are. So, yeah. we will edit. I am not sure that the changes that we did before are stored. No, they are not, but let me do it quickly, because if not, I will not be able to save it. So remember, financial rules, especially the asterisk one, should be populated. Okay, this one here, UN whatever, for example. The rest of them are already 30 days, Incoterm is empty. Okay, so let's go to the items. This is where we were before. And at line item level, and I selected the one service and I want to change the Incoterm. So I'm going to select a material. Here it is. At this stage, we have to add the Incoterm key and location. In the exercise, I'm telling you, for example, for this one, FCA, and the Incoterm location Guangzhou, where the Guangzhou, China. And if I'm not wrong, Brian, you mentioned that this Incoterm location will be a drop-down list soon.
Yes, so things are still changing. Okay, TM is still changing daily and monthly. We're getting updates on this during the next month. But right now, you should have a drop-down option or a selection menu especially when you're selecting handover locations, like what you're doing right now for FCAs. For any other type of Incoterm, you can actually still have the option to manually type it in. I think actually right now in production, you can still manually type in these addresses. Okay, but in the long run, it's going to be something that you have to select from either a matchbox or a drop-down menu. That's not yet 100% confirmed.
Very good.
All right.
Okay. So let's go. Sorry, the distribute to catalog is super important. Let's change it, yes. And now an line item level where we were, you can add the Incoterm here and in the payment tab. You see, it's appearing in both of them, and we will add here the payment terms as well. Set 12, and I think that's it. That's only this status, where it is, the status at line item. Just let me check. In general data, there is here a status that should be, here it is. Remember that now we already populated the information at header level of this contract. Now we have populated the information at we are populating at line item level. Distribute contract to catalog will be defaulted to yes, because we changed it in the header. And this status and statistics status of this line item should be active if you want to find this line item when you look for a contract in the PD contract catalog. So in the payment tab, we will add the payment terms and the Incoterm key and location. And I think that's it. That's it. That's all the information that we need to populate. Remember that the locations can be added here or at a header level. So I think we can, I'm going to leave it like this because we are running out of time. We should add one Incoterm location per material added in our contract. Per each line that it's a material, it should have the Incoterm, okay? Let me see if I can, no messages, I can already release it. This is not properly finished, but remember, just for these two line items, we should add the Incoterm and Incoterm location, and that's it. So we check and we release this contract. Okay, so this contract is released for approval. The last step, I don't think is needed to do this in the system. The approval of the contract is determined again based on delegation of authority and the authorization group of the contract. And exactly as we did before, in the list of tasks, it will appear. Let me just do it quickly, just for you to finish the process properly. So I will log in as an approver right now. Yep. Oh yes, sorry, I forgot just the attachments. I will show you now where it is. It's always the same in all documents, in the Rfx, in the shopping cart, or even in the contract. The process is the same. Here is our contract, you see. So I should open it. I'm now the approver. Open it and approve. And just let me see where are the attachment notes and attachments. Now I cannot do it because I am not editing the contract, but here is the place where you should add the attachments, okay, or notes if you want to add some notes. Now as an approver, I'm just going to approve, and it has been fiscal. Maybe some field I didn't populate this second time I did it. So the approval has been properly done. And now if you try to create a shopping cart using this contract, it should appear. It's not immediate. I'm not sure if there is a batch running or something, but in a couple of hours for sure it can be found, the contract and the line items on the contract ready and available for you to add them to your shopping carts or purchase orders. So I think I didn't miss anything.
Thank you, Sol. Maybe you can just answer quickly the question from George, who's asking if you add into Incoterm at header level, does it replicate in all item lines?
No. It will. I don't think so. It happens at the same. I don't know if you if you saw a PO in, for example, in ECC directly, they can be created, so you can. It will not default to the line items. In fact, the recommendation is to leave it blank at header level, and at line 8 item level populate the correct one. Could create a little bit of mess.
Okay, thank you. There is no other questions, actually. Thanks.
You're welcome. So if you agree, guys, we are going to stop for 5 minutes. We will quickly repeat this quiz that we did this morning just to check that you have learned a lot. And we will go to the BI reports. If it is okay with you, Danny, is it okay with you?
Yeah, thanks. So no problem. Take your time, and then I will take over whenever you're finished. Thank you.
And sorry, because this was a system issue. This usually happens with SRM in the training environment. But
no problem whatsoever. We do have to focus on the transactions in 5 days, and then the reporting is a nice to have, of course. But it's always best to focus on the transactions part. Get everyone at least knowledgeable on this, and then we move on to the reporting side. No problem. Okay, so if you agree, guys, just 5 minutes and we will continue quickly. So see you at I think it's 3:03. So let's meet again at 3:08.
Perfect. In 5 minutes then. Thanks, Sol.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sol, I don't know if you want to already share the link for the quiz or you prefer to wait after the break. I don't know if people want to do it already. Sol?
Sorry, I was muted. No, it's good because for those of that are coming earlier, or yes, for sure. Let me share it.
Cool.
Thank you, Saida. Very good reminder. Thank you. So this is the one. Saida, could you please confirm that it's working?
Okay, let me check. Yes, it's good. It's working for me. Perfect.
Okay, thank you, Saida. Wow, very interesting what you are sharing, Brian. It happens a little bit like it happens with the locations, I guess. That the
Exactly.
yeah.
So
This
yeah,
is very-
exactly. Even you can change it at header level, but that would only work if each item added to that PO has the same Incoterm, right? If not, it wouldn't work. You would always have to review at item level and make sure that you have the correct Incoterm there.
Also, this is something that we should know when we are sure that everybody's back. We should because I didn't know that, but it's exactly the same. So the line item level is overwriting, let's say, the one that appears at the head. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh, very interesting. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. So.
Hello, everybody. So I think we can just continue. Please, we already shared the link for the quiz. Again, we are going to review it in 1 more minute altogether, or 2 minutes. And Brian shared a very interesting piece of information regarding the question about the Incoterms added at header level of the contract or at line item level. Contract or PO, I guess is the same. So as it happening with the locations, it seems that what is written at line item level is overwriting the value at header level. So it's quite interesting. I didn't know about it. So thanks a lot, Brian, for sharing. And just let me check how is the quiz going. We have only 10 answers, 11. We'll review them quickly now. And jump to the BI. I'm going to share in the meantime this useful information that Javiera shared with me. This is the system contracts. This is the document and the tool to check this one.
If I may, Sol?
Yeah, of course, Danny.
Yes, regarding the file that you...
Danny? We cannot hear you.
No? Hello?
No, yeah.
Yes?
Yes, now, yes.
No? Okay. It's related to the file that you just shared through Javiera with the PD contracts. I am about, I'm not sure, but I'm about to share with you job aid and some training information related to how to change and create PD contracts, right? System contracts at New York level. Our team in Brindisi, the MDM team in Brindisi, created a very interesting tool that you can actually access through Umoja, through the dashboard, where you can, through a template, and that's coming to one of the students' questions, and let me see who was that. Yes, I think it was Grace, that she said, what happens if you have to add 150 line items in a contract? For PD contracts, there is this tool that through a template, you can do it in one shot. So as I said, we're waiting for the green light from New York to share with you this information, but it's only applicable for New York type of contracts from PD. I don't know whether that's going to be extended to local contracts at some point, but in any case, whenever we get the green light on that, we'll share with you the information, because I think it's a very valuable template, very easy to work with, and it saves a lot of time, because at the end of the day, in 2-3 clicks, you can upload plenty of lines, and there is a workflow in processing within the tool that through 2 level of approvals in New York and at the system level in Brindisi, they will be able to get that contract released and be able to be used in no time. But as I said, that's only applicable for system contracts, and the scope of activities is for PD in New York. Whenever we've got more information related to local contracts, if that is going to be applicable for you guys, we will tell you accordingly, okay?
Okay, but Danny, do you have the link for the YouTube? Is this the one that you are going to share?
Yeah, but I double checked with New York, and they told me to hold my horses and share with the green light from the PD management. Because I don't, in case that we may give extra information that it's not actually applicable for this workshop. So I'm just waiting green light. But in any case, eventually this MDM tool will be applicable for other contracts. So using this template, you will be able to create or amend huge contracts with 100 of lines in 5 minutes, instead of key in the system, in the portal, that it's sometimes makes your life miserable, and you spend hours, as we witnessed. The system doesn't work very well, so it takes a lot of time. But with this template, things become much more easier and simple. Over to you. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Danny. So if you don't mind, guys, we are going already to check the answers to the. Just let me see how many. 30. So we can already. Let me share my screen again, and let's review. It's not share. Let me share. Share this one. Yeah. So let's go for the first one. To just a recap to review all the steps that we have seen during the day. Which of the following is not a solicitation document? Most of you selected the unfunded shopping cart, and that's the correct answer. The invitation to bid, the request for proposal, and request for quotation are let's say, the 3 solicitation documents that we use in this Umoja tool. So the one that is not a solicitation document is the unfunded shopping cart. We use it to initiate a solicitation method or bidding or process, let's say, but is not a solicitation document itself. Okay. Let's go to the second one. The right sequence of steps to create a contract in Umoja. This one, I just waste a couple of minutes with this one, because as I mentioned, in the SAM, you could have questions with this structure. So we are only focusing on the order of the steps. For example, let's go to the first one. Create the contract, create the Rfx document, insert response in the Rfx. This is not correct at all, because we cannot create the contract if the Rfx document is not created previously in the system. So this one is not correct. Second one, insert responses in the Rfx, publish the Rfx document, and create the contract. These two steps are switched. So first we publish the Rfx document and then we insert the response in the Rfx. So it's not correct. The third one, create the Rfx document, publish the Rfx document. It's correct. This is the right order, but the unfunded shopping cart is created at the beginning before we create the Rfx document. So this is wrong. And the last one, publish the Rfx document, insert responses in the Rfx, and create the contract. These steps are in the right order. Some steps are missing in the middle. For example, insert the responses, compare the responses, award a bidder, but the steps are in the right order. So this is the one. The fourth one is the correct one. And I think most of you already knew that. Okay, very good. Let's go. The Rfx document approver, ITV approver, is determined by the system based on delegation of authority. The ITV approver and the contract approver as well. So very well done. In the bidding process, response submission or changes to responses are not allowed after the end the data time of submission. This is true. So again, most of you again select the right answer. And let's go to the very last one. What role is in charge of awarding bidders? The role is the buyer. So again, most of you. So I think the responses are quite better than the ones from the previous, that the one that we did before the session. So I'm very happy that you learned. And please, if you, even not now, but if you have further doubts in the future, don't hesitate to come back to us and we will try to give you a good answer. Okay? So thanks a lot. And before just just let me show this that Javiera shared with us. This link for the system contract. Here she gave me even a number of contract to show you how it works. So you can come here, insert this contract number. You have this link in the chat and apply, and the system will, you see, give you a PDF, a document with the contract, just in case you have to check or you need to use or whatever. So thanks once again, Javier. I don't know how to thank you again because you help us a lot. And there are some more interesting information that Javier shared with us, but probably we will see on Friday before closing the training, because now we are running out of time. So we will get back to this interesting information on Friday. So if there are not more questions, do we have any question in the chat?
It's more Isaac asking Maria how long are updates done on the contract via the link she has shared, but I don't know if she has seen that. It's a specific question for Maria, but apart from that, that's...
Okay, so after how long are updates done in the contract via the link you have shared? I am not sure about it, to be honest. Maybe Javiera knows it. I don't know, really. You mean in the system contracts? How often are they updated? Isaac?
She means, I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think Isaac means the updates in the iStick, in the page, but I don't know. I mean, I think they are periodically updated because it's public. I mean, you can go anytime, and in PD they are in charge of update that, but I don't know how often.
I don't know either. I think
it's supposed to be updated, you know, because it's in ISIC, but I really don't know.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Javiera. Okay, so we can check and try to give you an answer. See if you want to be more aware of it. Okay, thank you for your question and for your answer as well, Javiera, and for sharing. and I think Raluca is an LTS.
Yeah, I see that Raluca has also other questions. I don't know if you see them on the chat, Sal.
Yeah, no, yes, using LTAs from other agencies based on the motor. Are we going to discuss? Oh, wow, this is a very good point. Other agencies. I am not sure about, Brian, do you know how as far as I know, you mean the sharing the contracts between agencies? This is what if I understand properly or not?
I think that's what is being said. Raluca, you can jump in. I think we're diving too deep into like very specific, business case scenarios that we haven't planned for this training session. Maybe we can talk about this separately. We weren't planning on discussing any of this besides the fact that it's maybe exceptional cases where we're using LTAs from other agencies based on a mutual agreement, but it's not something that we've prepared for, so we wouldn't have an answer for that, Raluca, planned right now. Yeah, maybe it's better if we can just take it offline, and we'd even have to learn ourselves how these things are since we're basing our training mostly on things that are either newly implemented or typically performed in the system. These would be a very exceptional case scenario that we can take offline. So thank you for understanding.
Thank you. Yeah, how to do those in Umoja. Perfect. So we can, just as Brian mentioned, discuss it online, and if we don't have an answer, maybe we can try to get it and come back to you afterwards. And let me see, because we have new messages here. We have many of us in Colombia. Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Raluca. Thank you for understanding. And I think usually piggyback on existing contracts with other agencies. Yeah. Raymond is sharing that entities usually piggyback on existing contracts from other agencies. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Raymond, for sharing. And I think we can already jump to the BI session, if you all agree.
Sure, I'm ready.
Okay, so thank you all. Okay.
Thank you very much, Sol, for that. We are focusing our training on the transactional part, as you saw. So we are giving more, let's say, weight to the transactions performed in the portal or ECC, rather than in the reporting side, which will come, later on. And because we don't have a lot of time, what I did is, as you guys were going through the session with Sol, I did. I haven't shared. Let me share. I already went into the system, and hopefully I was not kicked out, and things more or less work as it didn't yesterday. So first of all, we always start with, I will share with you a presentation on BI contracts, where you can find them. Basically, we're going to work on 4 contracts, 2 web intelligence reports, and 2 analysis workspaces. Okay, the first 3 are stored in the source to acquire folder. Then the other one, related to the versions, it's within the historical reporting subfolder in the system, so you can find it over here. Okay, the 4 of them are certified, so the 4 of them are ready to be used. For these 4 contracts, as we don't have much time, the idea is to go in just 35 minutes that we've got through a very quick demo. Let's see if we have time for the 4 of them. But the first time is the contract target value. This is the one that we discussed before, with the release, with the target value, with the NTE, with the dates to expire. So this is the type of report that will give you a very good perspective of how your contracts are doing. This is the one that you can see in the screen right now. And in order to launch this report, you have to go to the folder, and you see the first one over here. Excuse me, that's documents, folders in production. I will go to source to acquire. The contract target value is the first one after the subfolder historical reporting. Okay, so once you launch that report, basically you will have what I did. It's I only selected ECA, the Economic Commission for Africa, as a purchasing group. And the validity of the contracts, I didn't put anything whatsoever. What I did, it's just put the information as up to date. So what can I find here, or what you can find if you put your own purchasing group? Well, plenty of interesting information, because you will have the list of the suppliers with the smart number and the contract number of all the contracts being applied within your own procurement group, and the status of each one of those contracts with its expiry date, the target value in local currency, released. Remember, always local currency, LC in Umoja means US dollars, right? If we were talking about another type of currency, what you would see is document currency, okay? But local currency, it's always US dollars. So target value, release value, the balanced, and the percentage released over the total value. So, and then you have in green font the days to expiry if you have plenty of time for the expiring. In this case, for example, the expiry date here is the end of the times, right? It's 31st December 999. Maybe, oh well, because this is actually it's saved, the contract status is not being released. Maybe this shall be changed later on, okay? Remember that we are talking about ECA over here. Then in days to expiry, the system will identify the number of days that have gone after the expiration date of this particular contract, right? And you will see this in red font. So as you go through the report, and as I'm telling you, I've just put the purchasing group ECA and the report as today's date. I didn't put anything else. And then I have a good mapping of all the contracts within my own purchasing group. You see, plenty of rows over here and plenty of information within one single table. Remember that this is a web intelligence report, so you will see always the UN logo, and that means that you can print it and you can hand it out to the auditors. You can hand it out to any external counterparts, because this is official information coming from the UN. This is not a report that you have created, customized based on your needs or on your judgment. It's just an already pre-formatted report that fits the requirements of the auditors, of the different counterparts, and internal policies of the UN, right? That's why, and this is very important, you see our UN logo over here. So how to understand, and this will be applicable to all web intelligence reports, because I'm taking the chance of showing to you these reports in order to drop here and there several tips and suggestions on how you can use the reports. For web intelligence reports, basically what you can do is you can consume the data, okay, but you can export the data. And the good thing about this type of reports is that the exporting functionality works very well. So if you click here in the navigational menu over here in this the white box with this arrow, that's the exporting option. You have there a drop down with basically you have two options, PDF or Excel. Okay, so if you click on PDF and go down a little bit, or I will zoom out a little bit as well. Okay, let's see if it works. Okay, here we go. So I selected PDF, I click in OK. Then I open automatically, and you'll see pretty much the same layout within the PDF format. And this file you can share with any of the counterparts that we discussed before. So this is the report, a couple of, well, 6 pages, as you can see. Let me just zoom in. And thank you guys for your open comments in the surveys, because we're taking those on account, especially when sometimes you just forget about, the zooming in and things, So anything that you think that we are missing or we are not doing very well or can be improved, please tell us in the survey, so we'll be those things will be applicable down the road. So this is the report, okay, that you can mail, that you can print, that you can share with other colleagues, okay. More things. getting back to BI, see, here we go.
Danny, maybe I can interrupt you there.
Sure, of course. Over to you.
2 questions. One from Monica, who's asking, what's the difference between completed and expired?
Well, I think when you said it, yeah, at least from the business point of view, I don't understand. I mean, I don't know very well the answer, but from the system point of view, when you set as complete any of the records in the system, you are closing the record. On the contrary, expired, it means that already the date has been expired, so the official, let's say, validity of the contract has been reached, and then it's not applicable anymore. When it's completed, I believe that it's already like closed initially, and there is no way to, let's see, release it again. But that's a business question that I'm not so sure, so we can just take it offline. If any one of you can answer that on the chat, that will be great. Okay, but yes, that's the first question, Saida. Okay.
And then the second one is Maria, who's asking, or she wants to confirm that you created a Webby from AWS, right?
No. What I did is I didn't create. I only launched a Web Intelligence report. This one, contract added value. You see, Web Intelligence report. I double-clicked. I filled the prompt, and then in the prompt I only put ECA as a purchasing group, ECA procurement with all the different countries. And then this is the information that I get. But besides what I did in the prompt, which is filling 2 fields, I didn't create the report because it's already pre-formatted report, and I'm not customizing whatsoever this report. So it's a Web Intelligence report. On the contrary, the analysis workspaces, the reports that we saw yesterday, those are for you to be customized, for you to be used as you deem necessary. That's the difference between the two. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. And actually, Georges was almost asking something similar that you have already answered, apparently. Could you please repeat how we get to the data here? You know, in other terms, is there a prompt? But you just answered the question, so thank you for that. And then Jawad confirmed that for contract expired, that means that the date has expired and the NTE exceeded.
Yep.
So thank you very much, Jawad, for that.
Thanks a lot. And that's what you'll see when it's a red font in percentage of release. Thank you, Jawad, for that. Thank you, Saida. When you're close to the, let's see, a high percentage of releasing of the contract in terms of exhausting the target value of the contract, you'll see this red font in this second last column over here. Okay, that's a good hint for you to read the report as well. I don't know, are you guys familiar with the scheduling options of the Web Intelligence report? Because I was about to send out a survey, but we don't have time. I don't know if you're familiar with the scheduling option, but it's something that is very practical, and I'd like to show to you.
Yeah, some participants are saying no.
So okay, so good. Thank you, Zaida, for that.
Well,
yeah, I need you to be right on the spot. We have a lot of time, so thank you. So,
my pleasure.
So, I mean, just things, you know, let's get very practical with this part. Web Intelligence report, as I told you, you just launch the report, you extract to PDF or you extract to Excel. Things for you to understand. When you extract to Excel, click in OK. Rule of thumb, the formulas are not exported, right? And even the numbers sometimes are in, let's say, this text format. So do not think by default that all these numbers related to, I'm going to scroll to my right, related to release value or even balanced are for formulas. You see, if you go over here, this is just a number, right? But a balanced is a percentage between 2 categories of elements, right? So please be aware that if I try to, let's say, add these 2 items, it might not work. In this case, it worked, but sometimes, no, it doesn't. So let's please be aware when you export to Excel, all these things. So, but, you know, it's a good, you know, piece of work because it looks very similar as the Web Intelligence report. in BI. So as long as you are more or less familiar with the data, you can create a table automatically over here. And for example, you can just click in any part of the report in Excel. You click Control-T, and the system understands automatically which are the fields that you want to use as a table. You select in this case, the headers. And this is something that we usually do a lot in reporting in BI. So I click in OK. So automatically you have your own Excel table created with Control-T. You see, you have filters created over here. You can even include at the end of the table formulas. It's very, very useful. Control-T, okay, in any Excel worksheet. And please make sure that you work a little bit with the format, with these numbers, and especially if we have to subtotals over here, you see there are no formulas. So just please be aware of that, okay? Exporting, it's cool, but for Excel, the formulas and sometimes the formatting is not properly, let's say, exported, okay? So that's a big heads up. But if I go back to BI, to the report itself, if you are going to encounter this type of report with plenty of rows, and especially if you want to do an analysis by status, for example, right, the contract status, and only, let's say, focus on the ones released, the one that you can use, right? A way for you to create a filter within BI without even exporting the data into Excel will be to go to filter bar. You see this navigational menu, filter bar, and stay with me here because it's kind of like it's kind of difficult to understand. So you click here on the filter bar button, then automatically it's created another button underneath over here. Click icon to add simple report filters. You click over there, others, and only there you have the possibility to filter by any of the columns in the report. Okay, it's not easy. I'm gonna do it again. And I'm talking about filtering within BI reports, Web Intelligence report, filter bar. A small icon appears on the left side. I click on it, others, and then I will have the different columns here. The one I want to use here is the status. I don't know what it is. Default vendor contract status over here. So I select contract status. And there you have the drop-down possibilities over here. So you go click on the drop-down and then you say, okay, I want to see only the released Foreca as up to date. And these are the ones that the system finds with subtotals based on purchasing groups. In this case, for ECA, you have one purchasing group by country that they have scope of works, okay? And the country over here will be the country of the vendor, the contract ID, the expiration date, and information on the release and balance, okay? So exporting option, already we went through that. Filter bar, you know, it's a good ally for you to filter within the Web Intelligence report. And then from here, you can export as well, okay? And then you are exporting only the released contract. So this works for Web Intelligence reports, okay? More things. Let's see, and then I'm gonna go back and Saida, I will continue, don't stop me, huh?
Yeah. Sorry.
And sorry
maybe before you.
Sorry, yeah.
Just, I don't know, because George was asking to repeat, where did you add the ECA parameters?
Yep.
You just missed the prompt stage.
Sure, I didn't show that one, yes.
Okay. And then Hannah is asking, but I don't know if you mentioned that, when the schedule via FTP will be allowed.
Yeah, that's a good question. Not yet.
Okay.
It's not been allowed yet. It's only through email.
Okay, that's it. Sorry for
interrupting. So thank you, Saida. So I will go to the prompt, as Georges was asking. Okay, so well, that's a nice report, but well, wait a minute. Let's see. When did you put the data? How did you put the data in order to get the report? Okay, you can always go to the refresh button over here. And I was trying to avoid that because sometimes, you know, the whole thing crashes. So, but, you know, I was lucky enough. You see location over here? In the location thing, remember that we talked on location plenty of times in Sol's presentation, in the demo, and it's one of the main features that now it's in BI, the location of the contract. What I did here, I selected location ET30, which corresponds to ECA, okay, and report as today, 20th of May 2020. The rest of the prompts, and I'm going back to my presentation over here, you know, our famous slide over here, start big, prompt not very populated, and then you do your housekeeping afterwards. So my prompt, it's not very populated, it's only one date, as at to date, and then location ECA. And then I get a large amount of data that I can work it out with my filters and with my exporting options afterwards. So Georgios, the prompt for this contract target value report, it's always accessible through the refreshing button over here. And then without further ado, I will go to the other web intelligence report, to the contracts and POs, which is a really nice one, okay? That I will get to the prompt afterwards. Basically what I did here, the intention of this report is to identify a particular contract. In this case, it's a 47,000,6939 for UNOV in Vienna. It's already expired, the contract. We don't care. I mean, you can do it for expired contract or release contract, but just we want to show how to read and how to understand this report. So for this particular contract, the report will show you all the POs raised against it. So as you can see for this contract, I have, probably around 20 something or 20 plus type of POs raised throughout a period of 3-4 years, okay? Starting in December 2015, ending in December 2018. But how we can read all these numbers? Okay, the target value is over here, $17 million, release value, only $1 million. So the value remaining, which is the target value less release value, it's 15.9. So within, let's say, 4 or 6 years, from 2012 to 2018, we barely have exhausted this contract, right? And the breakdown of this, how we have been calling off all these POs, is in the table below, with all the PO numbers, dates of approval, net value of the PO, confirmed value of the PO, and invoiced value of the local currency. So it's important to take into account that not only the PO value, but the confirmed plus, most importantly, the invoiced value per PO. Okay, and you have the breakdown or the list of all the POs and the status of them, all of them ordered except one which says transaction completed. Okay, so, and you have here the percentage of the value of the, let's say, the percentage of the contract released by each of these POs. Okay. So, well, we can say that it's in 6 years, the contract has been expired. It's for mobile, for the BlackBerry data common services in Vienna. You know, it was a large amount of money in terms of target value, but we have only exhausted $1.1 million out of it, okay? So this type of report is intended for you to do your analysis by contract, because it really wouldn't make sense to have 150 contracts over here with 150 tables underneath, and you will have to be scrolling down for a week in order to understand and have visuals of the whole report. So I don't dare to refresh here in case it doesn't work. Yeah, well, that's it. Let me close it and let me go back to the presentation, because I may have over here a prompt for you. So we avoid to do it on live contract POs. So here we go. This is the prompt that you can use or will be popped up when you click on the button. Basically, you have the cost center, fund, functional area, the typical master data elements that you can find in any of the modules in Umoja. You can identify by PO, okay, in case that you want to align a particular PO against a contract. The location, supplier, and validity of the contract, okay? But at the end of the day, what really drives over here, it's the contract number, okay? Which eventually it's, if you scroll here, this is a screenshot. If you just scroll down over here, you'll see contract number. That's the one I put, 47006939. I click in OK, and then I see this report. Okay. Again, the exporting functionality works the same way, and it's quite works quite nicely. Things to bear in mind: it takes quite a long time for certain contracts, and I already discussed with some of the BI developers in Valencia this morning because it took a while to get this report. So I created a ticket, and it will be escalated to New York in order to increase the performance of this report particularly, okay? Again, it's a web intelligence report, and how you can schedule this report. And first of all, what scheduling means in terms of reporting. Basically, instead of me getting into BI, logging in, putting the things in the prompt, and trying to understand the report, and then doing the same thing the day after, and the day after, or the week after, I can tell the system, or I can ask the system, look, I want this report to be sent to my inbox, my Outlook, in Excel every single day for this particular contract, because I'm one of the buyers, and I have to closely monitor a list of contracts, and instead of me getting into BI every single day, I want these contracts with updated information every single day present in my inbox. How to do that? Okay, that is called scheduling reports in BI. So first of all, what you have to do is to save this report. So you see, I already have my report, so you have to at least launch it once. You launch it once, and then you save this report, you save as under your own documents. Okay, it's already saved. I saved it over here. You see my documents, and you will see for this particular workshop, I have my contracts and POs with the contract number over here. It's already saved, but very importantly, you do have to save it, otherwise it will not work. Then once the contract is saved within your own folder that you can create, and you can create subfolders, you right click, and then you schedule. Okay, you have several options. We will not go through the options now, but the one that we're looking for is this one, schedule report. So we click there, and you have a series of options here. Okay, first is the title. Okay, that's the title of the report that comes by default. We will not change that. Secondly, recurrence. This is important because then you are setting up the recurrence of this, let's say, delivery to your inbox every single week, for example, or every single day. So you can run the object, run the report now. Well, it doesn't make sense to do it now because otherwise I will not schedule, but I will go to the report and I will run it, right? I will go to the drop down and I can just schedule once or every hour. Actually wouldn't make sense. Why? Because the report in BI, the data in BI, it's refreshed every 24 hours. So it really would not make a difference to get this report every single hour during the day because I will get the same information, right? Because remember, data is not live in BI. So I will jump to daily, for example, or weekly. So you are setting the recurrence and you have plenty of options, and you can even use the calendar. Please, guys, do it. Initially, do it once, because sometimes when you're setting the scheduling options, for example, daily, you don't put an end to the action, and you may forget, or you may leave the organization. Hope that doesn't happen, right? But you may leave your post, or you may go somewhere else, and the system, because it hasn't been told to stop this action of sending recurrently this report to you, will do it so up until someone realizes internally and stops this in the back end. So please do it carefully, because sometimes if a lot of users are creating or asking this with a recurrence that goes hourly or daily, the whole system, I'm not saying it's going to crash, for sure not, but the performance in your own bandwidth will be affected. So let's do it only once. And then when you run this object once, you have to set up the dates. Okay, it's today, it's set up already 3:48. Okay, this is BC Valencia time. So let's do it within, let's say, 5 minutes, 3:53. Start and end date will be the same, okay? Because we don't want any window of time, so it's the same 3:53 p.m. of today. Once the prompt will be the same, so but you can change the prompt. So this is the initial prompt from the report, okay? It takes always a bit of time to refresh. So you click on prompt and you can change. Initially was for this 47 type of contract, 47006939, but you can change the prompt eventually. Format, you can use Excel or PDF. The other wouldn't work, okay? Let's receive it in PDF. So I'm checking Adobe Acrobat. And then catching, events, and scheduling server group, we avoid those three because as our colleague was asking before, they are still not available, okay? So we'll jump directly to destinations. And in destinations here, we basically go to our email over here. FTP doesn't work neither. Email. And here you set up, excuse me, you set up from, in this case, myself, use criado de @un.org to myself. And then I'm going to copy, let's say, Brian, for example, or Saida. Saida, is this your email? Sagir?
No, Sagir. Yes, Sagir @un.
Oh, perfect. All right. Okay, and then you can put blank copy, a subject, and then even you can put a message over here, right? So you're setting up, let's say, the sending of the email initially in the back end of the whole system. Okay. Remember, you put a title, doesn't matter. A recurrence, very important. You can change the prompt, and then the destinations through an email, and then you click on schedule. So I would expect to receive this report in PDF around 3:54 today. Okay. So you see automatically this, let's say, history table pops up with the icon of the report exported. In this case, is in PDF. Today's date, the title, spending. I did create this scheduling, and it's a PDF report. So you can close this one, right? So we'll wait up until the end of the session to receive this report and check whether it works. Sometimes it doesn't work depending on the report, but I would say 7 out of 10 times, you know, it works. And as I said, always please define the end time of this recurrence. If you are not going to do it only once, if you're planning to do it every single week, put an end to it. Say, for example, I want to receive this report every Monday from now to the next 6 months, okay? If you put an end date 20 years from now, it may happen that you leave the organization or you change the organization, and then this thing, you know, it's creating works in the back end without any sense. Hi, Aida?
Yeah, Danny, just to say that Raluca is saying that it's a very useful feature, by the way. And Maria has scheduled some reports, but she wanted to delete it. Can you show how to delete the scheduling, if it's possible, actually?
Yeah, thank you. That's a very good question, Saida, and our student. Sorry, I'm not good with names. I only know the ones from the trainers that I work with. So, okay, in order to delete, and this is a very good one, right? In case that you are, you know, it's okay, or you change your positions and you want to reschedule some other reports, what do you do? Okay, you go to your own favorites, the place where you stored your report scheduled. In this case, for example, it's this one. I did schedule this one, contracts and POs for this particular contract. You right click, and then let's say you go to history. Over here, it's pending because it's not still, you know, it will take some time to receive this report. But imagine that, for example, you already have this report already scheduled for, I don't know, a year or something like that. So you will select, and then you can go click on organize and delete. So first of all, let me do it again. you have to identify the report within your folder that you have set up the schedule for, first of all. Second step, once you have identified that report, you right-click, you click on History, and there you'll see the instance and the different, let's see, features of the scheduling that you set up in the past. You select, you click on Organize, and you delete. You can pause, you can reschedule the report, you can view the scheduling, some other things. But basically, as a rule of thumb, right-click, Organize, and delete. Right? Or you can change and reschedule your own report as well. Okay, so that's a really good functionality. Only works for Web Intelligence report. Only works for these reports with the UN logo. Okay, it wouldn't work for this type of reports. For example, let me see. For example, I did create here, and it's a pity we don't. I'm going to stay on this page. Let me see if I find one analysis workspace. Okay, it's already. Okay, for the analysis workspaces, for the ones with the different attributes that we can find on the panel, and then we drag and drop on the right side, and then we change the layout of the analysis changes as we did yesterday. For these type of reports, there is no scheduling options whatsoever. And it makes sense because these type of reports are subject to be customized based on your needs, and the data universe and the, let's say, queries behind all this system will not let you schedule all this data. On the contrary, if you are going to use Web Intelligence reports with the UN logo, you can do it, the scheduling options, and remember that you first have to launch, then you have to save, and then once the report is saved, then you follow the different steps. Before finishing, because I was planning to do more demos, but I probably will have more time tomorrow, the day after, or on Friday, let me show to you this file, which is called a preliminary BI session. This is one of the, I think, best presentations that we have done in the past 5 years. It took a lot of time. It has 120 something present slides. You see 126, but all you need to know in terms of navigation tips and different features that you can find for the Web Intelligence reports and the analysis workspaces are explained over here, with different indications and explanations of every single icon that you can find. And you see even the scheduling reports step by step. It's explained, so you can really go, even you have exercises, and then you can set up the whole customization channel. So I will send to you this presentation as well. I mean, it's not within the scope of this training, but I think it's important for you to have it as a reference material in case that you want to go back and understand how things were done in one of the reports. I think it's a good reference material, and so I'm going to share that with you along with the presentation that only refers to contracts. Okay, remember, for reports. Okay, let me see. The first three in the main folder: contract target value, Web Intelligence report, contract and POs, another Web Intelligence reports. Remember, the first one, contract target value, will give you a visual of the released quantity of the days before reaching the expiration date, the smart number, the vendor name. The second one will give you the list of POs being raised and ordered against any particular contract. This one, it's better to be analyzed contract by contract instead of a large amount of contracts at the same time. And then we have two analysis area, the contract analysis area over here, and the second one in the historical reporting for the version that, well, we didn't have time to show to you, hopefully tomorrow or the day after, but in any case, you have here screenshots with the reports and the different things that you can use in the four of them, okay? So that's about it's about time. So thank you for your time, and over to you, Sol or Brian.
Yeah, just Mina was asking if you could share the presentation that you mentioned about the navigation, but you answered to it and you said that you would put that together with the training material, and then Javier has said that was very useful material. And then a question from Rana, who's asking which report is used to for the CIC, you know, the consultant and individual contractors. Mm-hmm. But we will see this part tomorrow, but I don't know if we will have the time to see the BI aspect of it. So
sure. I don't know. For example, what we can do is we go to the prompt in contract value report, and just the purchasing group. What I would select over here is the purchasing group related to ICNCs, right? Usually, at least I'm talking from the peacekeeping operations perspective. I'm not sure about you guys in the UN entities, but in most of the entities, what they have, it's one purchasing group at least for, let's say, goods and services, another purchasing group for HR, which conveys all the ICNCs type of contracts, and then another one for LBAs. So if I was going here to select one purchasing group related to HR, all the contracts you see related to HR, for example, Unifil HR unit over here. If I select this HR unit for Unifil or the HR unit for, I don't know, UNODC, for example, and I move it to the right and I launch this report, I will get a visual of all the different contracts related to HR, and most of them, I'll say 99% of the contracts that you can find are related to ICNCs. I mean, that's a quick answer, but I think a way to understand how to map all those is through the purchasing group in the prompt and selecting the HR.
Perfect, thank you, Danny. And there is no other questions or comments, so I will just, okay. I don't know.
Thank you, Saida.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. As I said, today I'm going to send you the presentation for the navigational presentation, the big one for Webby and Analysis Workspaces. But then I will send to you the other one related to the contracts. Only the contracts, the 4 contracts and scope. And remember that it's PA 23, the role accessing these whole type of reports, especially for the analysis workspaces. And only the web intelligence reports, only these ones with the UN logo are going to be scheduled. And I usually do that, and it's really, really, really handy. Especially if you are going to launch a typical report. For example, the ones I usually do, it's for budget, for example, in order to identify a particular budget line that you have to closely monitor all the expenditures and the commitment items created. So what you do is you set up that scheduling, you get it every single week, and you get an updates on a weekly basis without entering BI, and you receive in Excel all those numbers at a given time. So that's quite useful as well. Over to you, Brian, Saida, or Sol, before we finish.
I don't know if you have the link for the evaluation of this session already.
Yeah, thank you. I forgot.
If you don't mind sharing that with us. And then I don't know, Brian, Sol, if you want to add and close the session.
From my side, everything is okay. Just to thank you, Danny, for this very interesting session. And thank you all guys for your patience, and apologize from this misbehavior in the training environment. So thank you all. And Brian, do you want to add?
Yeah, thank you, Sol. For the environment always misbehaves when you're training live. The good thing is that we can find ways around it. So thank you all for the delivery. Sol, especially you've been talking most of the day. Thanks, Daniel, for the reports. I see that the attendees are very interested in BI, as usual. Thanks, Aida, for taking care of the chat. From my side, there's nothing else to say. I'll be stopping the recording now. Just a reminder, now that I've seen in the chat that Daniel has added the afternoon survey, please, as you always do, give us a quick response from 1 to 10, and we can have some feedback on what you felt the afternoon session was like. And we'll see you guys tomorrow, day 4. Okay, so that's all from my side. And take care and have a good afternoon.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. See you tomorrow, guys.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you.